Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Good Ballet Juju. And I'm Min, the owner of Cloud of Victory. And this Ballet Juju is our fun, feel-good kind of ballet podcast. And I'm here with my friend Miko Fogarty, who I'm sure everybody knows. She's in her scrubs now because she has gone from being a ballet dancer to a fancy medical research potential doctor person. Um, I'm not quite sure what you're studying yet, and we're going to catch up on that. But why don't you? I'm sure everybody knows your story, but for those who don't, why don't you just take us a little bit quickly through like your ballet journey and how it went from there to, being a medical student and now medical professional.
Sure. So, yeah, I'm Miko. I started ballet when I was around 4 years old, and I pursued ballet for about 15 years and participated in multiple ballet competitions and joined the Birmingham Royal Ballet when I was like 17.
Mm.
And, but throughout that whole process, I started to, as much as I loved ballet and still do love ballet, I started to realize that there was another path in life that I wanted to pursue, which was health and medicine. And that kind of came about actually really when I was injured, and I was actually really interested in how the body recovers from injury and how to prevent injury as a dancer. And
Mm.
from that stemmed kind of, yeah, this need for knowledge
Mm.
in our bodies in healthcare. And so after I made kind of the very difficult decision to leave ballet behind, I started college and went through community college first in California and then joined UC Berkeley, where I just graduated from. And currently I'm researching at UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, in developing brain tumor therapeutics and testing those brain tumor therapeutics.
And so, what sort of, I guess, medical field do you hope to go into after this? Do you
Oh,
hope to do
I'm
research or practice?
I'm not sure exactly what I want to go into yet. Maybe I've
Right.
kind of been also thinking of podiatry, like working with feet,
Uh-huh.
especially because
Yeah.
very in line with ballet because
Yeah.
we use point shoes a lot and feet are very important to dancers. And so that's something I'm looking into, especially working with dancers would be just like incredible because,
Mm.
I can empathize with them having been a previous dancer. And but I haven't really made my mind yet. I'm still exploring options that are out there, and there are a lot of options
Yeah.
in the healthcare field. So I haven't really made my mind yet what I would like to specialize in or anything like that. But yeah, I'm still exploring.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I have bunions, and I'm like lots of dancers. I have bunions. So if you ever do
Yeah,
podiatry,
I
I
have
will be,
too.
I will be like asking you all the questions about what I can do to slow down the spread of those.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, bunions are the worst.
they are.
Um, but I want to let's go back a bit, and I want to talk about your ballet journey. And you mentioned that you made, like you said, you made the difficult decision to stop pursuing a professional path and move on to medicine. For you, like, I guess, what did you love about ballet and what did you not enjoy about it? And why did it come to a point where the negatives outweighed the positives?
Yeah. So, I mean, there were many reasons why I did love ballet. I mean, I did pursue it for 15 years. And one of those things, mm, I think one of the things was I really loved watching ballet, where I was
Mm,
so mesmerized and so inspired watching ballet and
mm.
ballerinas and just full length ballets. It would just like made my day, and it still does. I still love watching ballet and theater. And it's just one of the most beautiful art forms I think a human body can do, and the shapes it can form and everything is just so beautiful. So, and kind of sometimes also like the hard work is also enjoyable when you're like sweating. Sometimes those days are
Yeah, yeah.
actually kind of nice, like where you're working really hard and you see improvement is really nice. But some of the things I was, struggling with was, body image issues as a dancer. And also, like I guess the stress of competing and performing.
Mm,
Where initially I thought that I didn't really enjoy performing because I was going to competitions, like because it was a competition and there was a lot of pressure and all of that was the reason why I wasn't like enjoying my time on stage. But then when I actually joined my ballet company, the Birmingham Royal Ballet, that's when I really realized like I was not competing then, I was just
Yeah.
performing. And that's when I realized, I still wasn't feeling this joy that I was hoping to feel because, ballet takes so much hard work in the studio for these moments on stage where you hope to kind of feel something.
Yeah.
Really feeling that. And so, yeah, the kind of combination of a few different things. Also, like I had an injury and my right foot was never really the same after
Right.
that. So, kind of a mixture of like injury, body image issues, and not feeling as much joy as I wanted to feel when I was on stage after all that hard work in the studio was kind of some of the reasons as to why I kind of started thinking about other career paths.
And I guess how long did it take you, in a sense, to come to that um, decision? Because
Um,
yeah, I mean, it's like I can imagine it can be quite difficult because, and I'm sure that I'm just saying it because I know that maybe some other young people will be struggling with this, and it's just difficult to transition when, in a sense, ballet is kind of like all you know, right?
yeah. Ballet really was all I knew. I mean, I even did online school and everything for ballet. So I would have to say it was a long time coming, but really about a year of starting to have these doubts and starting to kind of get interested in other things. And um, yeah, but it was it was very difficult as you said because it's all I knew, and it was kind of I felt very alone when
Mm.
thinking about these things because I didn't really have too many other role models I could look up to that I knew of that left ballet. But actually, your story really helped me because I know you had
Oh,
something similar, leaving
mm,
the field of law
yeah.
and pursuing your real passion was very inspiring to me. So hearing different stories like that did very much inspire me. But there wasn't too many dancers that I knew personally that I could reach out to and talk to and who I thought would understand what I was going through. So it was kind of a very lonely journey. But then when I finally started college, I knew that I had made the right decision for myself and that I would have no regrets going forward because I just, I felt so at home learning and yeah, so, and still to this day, I've had no regrets.
Girl, you should have messaged me and been like, I'm thinking of doing this thing. And I would have been like, I am here for you. I am support you all the way. Because I remember I had you down in Singapore, remember with Joy teaching the master class. And even then, like,
Yeah,
I didn't want to say anything, but I could sort of feel that there was a part of you that wasn't enjoying it or wasn't
yeah.
like
At
quite
that
as in it
point,
as much.
I think at that point I had already like basically made my decision that I was gonna leave ballet, but I was so, I don't
Mm.
know, there was a part of me that was so afraid of disappointment
Yeah.
from the ballet world.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, just it was really hard for me to open up about it to anyone, even though of course I knew that you would be super understanding and if there was anyone who would understand me, it would be you. But still, like, I was just so afraid in my mind. And that was like the hardest thing. And it took me 2 whole years
Yeah.
after I had left
Yeah.
ballet to really open up about it at all. Like 2 whole years, which was a long time for me because previous to that, I was posting on Instagram every single day, like
Yeah. Yeah.
constantly. And so it's normal for me to like post updates every day. But then for
Yeah.
to have a 2 year break from all of that was huge for me. But
Mm.
it's honestly also what I needed to really, um, have like self growth
Yeah.
and really not be like not have to worry about disappointment during those times and to really kind of get in my groove in this new chapter before I was comfortable talking about it. But yeah, I'm so glad that after 2 years I did start to speak up about it, about my journey, because there was a lot of dancers that had gone through something like that as
Yeah.
well
Mm.
and had reached out to me and said that they had gone through something similar. So yeah, and I still get people reaching out who might be around like the age of 17 and or 16 to 18 or something like that, wondering how they want to balance school and ballet and all of that. So yeah, it turned out to be good, but it was definitely a challenging time in my life for sure.
No, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing about, struggling with, your own mind and like, the loneliness of being alone in your struggles. And I think, mental health wise, I think that's also why I try to talk about these things. Because I also remember when I was struggling with stuff, how lonely it is. And it's interesting
Yeah.
because it's something that you just kind of put inside your head that, if I open up to people, people are going to judge me and they're going to, and I'm not going to get a positive or supportive response when it's actually hard for us to, when in that moment and we're like struggling and we're afraid, it's hard for us to step on and actually realize that if you like open up to people, maybe not necessarily on your Instagram with like
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of followers, but if you open up to friends and like are vulnerable and be like, I'm struggling with this, like people are actually willing to, like, people usually don't, the first reaction for people is not so much to judge you but just kind of to like support you if they're your like
Yeah.
friends who care about you. And that's like the hardest part, I think, when you're struggling to realize.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, I think that was one of the things I was most afraid of, as I said. But when I finally did start opening up, like, I was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of support that I actually got.
Mm,
And yeah, that's not something I was like necessarily expecting, but I was very, just so relieved and so grateful for
yeah.
the support that I received. And also, of course, from my supportive parents as well, that helped me through this
Yeah.
and were supportive throughout the whole thing. um and yeah, and then I think, yeah, it was hard for me because I had kind of identified and I'd put my whole identity into being a ballet dancer for
Mm-mm.
everything. And of course, my Instagram was all just ballet. And so, of course, it was hard for me to kind of switch that to something else. And it's still something I am still like, going through right now, is how to how to add like a new identity to that identity that I did have,
Mm.
and open up more about it on social media. And that's still something I'm working with now as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a process, like you said, when you've done it for 15 years and trying to, I
Yeah.
guess, reconcile those two different things that
Mm-hmm.
you have. But I mean, like I said, I think you have a lot to be proud of.
Thank
Um,
you. You too.
Thank you. Yeah, like we should just form our own little support system.
Yeah.
This is just going to be like the support system
I
self-love
mean, yeah, I
podcast
feel like
episode.
that's like, yeah, I'm so, oh, I hope like people that might be struggling would reach out to either of us and, you know,
Yeah.
talk, feel less lonely and talk to us if they are going through any struggles or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Like, we're talking about how, like, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, when I was struggling with like, depression or just a lot of like anorexia, or like even now when I struggle with a lot of anxiety, I always feel like, oh, I'm not gonna like talk to my friends about it because I don't want to like bother them, or it just seems so trivial because it's like in your head.
Yeah.
And like that's the hard part. Like you almost feel like, I don't know if, yeah, you just don't want to bother people with your problems because it's different from like a physical illness where people can
Yeah.
see that you're not
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
it's like in a mental thing when it's your head, you're like, oh, I don't want to bother people. And I think like sometimes as like friends, I think the important thing sometimes is to actually like actively reach out to people and ask them like, are you okay?
Yeah, for sure. And you've been really good about that with me, actually. Like, you, every once in a while, you always reach out and you're making sure I'm okay. And I really appreciate that. So thank you, man.
Oh no, that's okay. I mean, like, I just remember I would like, I didn't do it this year because I was really last year because I was really busy, but I would like send you Christmas cards. That's the new thing because I always assume that like you
Yeah.
just wanted your space. I'll be like, I'll send you a Christmas card.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so sweet. No, yeah, no, it was great. Thank you so much.
No, 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 it's okay. It's okay. And I mean, thank you because you were one of the first few people I remember who was like supporting CMV. I remember I reached out to you online and I was like, do you want to do a shoot with me? And you were like, yeah. I'm like, oh, the girl from First Positions
I
wants
know,
to
it's
wear my
like so
clothing.
amazing to see the growth of when I first knew you on CNB to like what it is now. Like everyone knows about it now in the ballet world and the dance world, and to see it from what I knew it to like what it is now is pretty amazing.
So yeah, in terms of switching over from ballet to medicine, like how did you kind of arrive at that? Because like you said, when you decide that you want to leave ballet, it's like I almost feel like it's like starting from zero, like where do I go from here and stuff like that. So how did you decide, like, that was what you wanted to do, or did you not know when you started college?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good question, because you're exactly right. When I was having doubts about ballet, it was, and thinking about maybe starting a new chapter, like I felt like the whole world was open to me. And I didn't even know where to begin, because again, it was like starting from scratch. Like I didn't even know which career path to even think about, because there was just so many out there.
Yeah.
And like it was definitely a bit overwhelming. However, really, when I kind of did some reflection and thought about the things I was excited to learn about and excited to delve deeper into, is I came back to, when I was injured, um, and how I'd actually read through these whole books of health and wellness and injury prevention and different exercises you could do and stuff like that as a dancer to be healthy. And yeah, and then, but it wasn't only that. I had to make sure that I liked studying, because as you know, the health, to become anything really in health, it takes many years of school. So I also wanted to make sure that once I did start university, that it's something I would like studying about. Because yeah, I didn't want to study for something for 10 years if I didn't even enjoy that studying. So yeah, I was kind of set. I really did want to go into health, but when I started college, I really made sure that it was something I loved learning and studying about. And it was, luckily. But, I did start learning about science with like chemistry and biology, and even like humanities. I'm definitely a nerd and love studying. So yeah, so that's kind of what helped me get into healthcare. But it is definitely a little bit overwhelming at first. And I think it's something that most dancers do experience, because the dance career can be long, but also it's usually not super long.
Yeah.
Our dancers usually do retire around the age of maybe 35 to 45, like in that range. And so everyone really does have to figure out, and that's not the end of your life. Like
Yeah.
everyone has to figure out after that what they want to do with their lives, and if they want to stay in kind of like the dance field or the theater field or do something else. So I think a lot of dancers do experience that, where they
Yeah.
really have to decide for themselves what they want to do next in their life. So yeah.
Yeah, I know, especially the one that gets the real sticker shock, Anderson, is like when they have an injury, even if you're off for like 6 months or like a couple of months, it's suddenly that it kind of hits you of like, what do I have besides ballet, and like what do I do in my life? And I think that is like a real struggle for people.
Yeah, definitely can be. Like I think there's a quote by Martha Graham where she says something like, a dancer dies twice.
Yeah.
Where it's like your first death is kind of like when you leave your career and your passion
Yeah.
of dance, and then the second is when you actually die. And it does feel like that a little bit. So yeah, definitely feel that struggle.
So for you, was it like cold turkey, like, you left Birmingham and then it was like, that's it, I'm like cutting
Cold
the umbilical cord.
turkey.
I'm just not
Yes.
doing anything in the studio anymore.
Yes, it was cold turkey. It was like right after Birmingham, and I did some traveling, and I think that's when I came to Singapore as well, where I think I was in Singapore then too, where I went to a few different countries in Asia and Southeast Asia. And then my last performance was actually in Indonesia.
Yeah, I remember you had the gala or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the gala in Indonesia, in Jakarta. And then literally the next day I flew to back here to San Francisco, and then I started college the next day. So
The
it was
next day.
the next day, like my gala was Sunday night, and actually my college started that Monday, right, the next day, but I actually had to miss the first day because I was still traveling back to the US. And then, so I started on Tuesday, but it was literally like the day after I came back was my first day of school. And so it was super cold turkey, but yeah, by that Friday, I was like so happy and like knew that I would have no regrets.
So
With
it was just like relief almost.
yeah, definitely, yeah, like relief and excitement to start this new chapter for sure.
I have to say, this is such a perfectionist story. First, when I was like, when I read that like you're in medicine, I was like, not, and I get to say this because I am Asian too. I was like, that's such an Asian thing to do. You go from being like at the top of your ballet game into like one of the, top things that you can study. It's like, and second, that you didn't even give yourself like a little vacation. You were like, no, I'm going straight into class. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, my summer was like jam-packed that year where I was like traveling so much and, I wanted to make sure I committed to those because I had, committed to those earlier. But, the first week of school is not that hard. It's like usually just learning about the syllabus and what you're going to do. And so it was not that bad for the first week. I was definitely super nervous though, because my classes that I was taking was like calculus and general chemistry.
yeah.
And having not been to like a proper high school and most of middle school, which is basically after the age of 12, I had not really gone to a real school. And so I was definitely nervous. Didn't even know what to bring in my backpack, but 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 then yeah, my professors were just amazing, and they made me feel so comfortable in the classroom, and yeah, and then that's where it started.
Yeah, so like how was the adjustment in a sense? Because I almost feel like I don't want to say you're not a regular ballet dancer, but in the sense you weren't because you were like an Instagram famous ballet dancer. So with that, you didn't necessarily go through the same kind of path as like kids who go to like training and then professional and professional program. Because even when you were like a pre-professional, you were kind of um in that sense sort of almost treated like you may have received some treatment that principal dancers get and things. And then to go from that kind of a bubble to suddenly being in college where it's like completely different. Like, how was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was ready for it because mentally I had been preparing for it for like almost a whole year. And so I was so ready. By that time, I was like boarding my flight and getting back to the US. I was just honestly so excited and so ready for the new chapter. Um, but actually, it was a good break because the first college that I went to was actually very remote. It was like
Right.
in like the mountains in California, and there's really not that many people there. And I came from like a busy city life.
Yeah.
And it was honestly like a retreat. Like it felt amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like there's rivers and mountains and lakes and animals everywhere. It was just so gorgeous. And so it literally like felt like a retreat and just a nice mental break from everything. And so it actually was not, once I started, it was actually not bad at all. Of course,
good.
as I said, I was nervous about starting, but I think one thing as well that I say a lot is that dancers do develop that self-discipline and that strive to improve themselves. And that can be very beneficial in college because in college you do really have to kind of push yourself to get good grades. And yeah, so it was kind of a lot of the same mindset in doing well in college. And yeah, that's why I feel like I know a lot of ballerina friends now who have done other things and they've been really successful in them, I think because of this mindset that we learn in ballet.
I think it's like that perfectionist thing because I always feel like ballet is a field that like attracts a lot of perfectionists. And so it's very, even though I'm not a professional dancer, I think that's something I can relate to because it's just very easy for us to like push ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you were like pushing yourself even though your brain and your body was like, no, you were still kind of like pushing in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, you learn to from a young age in dance where, and even just like stretching is not super comfortable, but you're taught from a young age to like kind of push past your comfort levels.
Yeah.
And and the show must go on is something that also is a thing in ballet where, you know, if things go wrong, you have to push forward and make it happen whatever way it needs to.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of learn that from a young age to do the best that you can, and then yeah, go on with, and yeah, make the show go on.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. So, you know, now in this like new career, have you managed to find a bit more balance between that, you know, pushing hard thing and also learning to sort of moderate it and realize when it's not like not healthy or not helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, mentally, I've been so much healthier in the last, 4 years than I was as like in the last few years of being a dancer. And even though, of course, there's times when it's hard right before an exam or something like that, I've always put my mental health first. And, you know, I think what really helped me in school and college was finding a good group of people to hang out with. And that's not like a lot. Like it was just literally like 2 or 3 people that I'd hang out with. And they were just really good people. And we studied really well together and was very productive. But we'd also have times where we just hang out and, go get boba and just, chill out on the field, right? Like inside UC Berkeley. So I think, yeah, it's been so much better. My mental health has been so much better, ever since I started college. And yeah, again, like there's of course stressful times, but yeah, kind of treating yourself after you had a hard exam or, um, just, and then also just the mindset, which I learned in ballet of, just doing your best for an exam. You can't be too upset with yourself if you did try your best. And even if you didn't get the best grade out of that, what can you do? Like you tried your best. And that's something I got out of performing live, because anything can happen when you're performing live.
Yeah.
And as I've experienced many times, and if you've prepared yourself and done your best to prepare, that's all you can ask from yourself.
Yeah.
And so not getting too stressed out, knowing that you did your best. And so that mindset I definitely took into college as well.
It's sort of that, in that sense, there's some learning to let go is what you're saying.
Let go sometimes. Like not everything is under your control, and you're not always going to get 100% on tests, and that's okay. Yeah,
never gotten 100% on a test ever, so.
yeah but
yeah, I remember I think one of my favorite things that you posted on Instagram was, and I think I messaged you, was the story of you dancing like, is it a Blackpink dance or something, and your friend was filming that.
Oh my god.
And I really enjoyed that because I remember watching that and being like, she looks so happy dancing. You know what I mean? Like that was like the first dance video you ever posted, and it was like a Korean one, and you just looked really happy, and I was like, oh, I just really like to see that. So like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I think I was dancing to like Twice's like Feel Special.
Twice, right?
And yeah, I love Twice, and that was just like a random thing that my friend filmed outside of the car. And my friend was not really familiar with like K-pop at all, and so I was like, oh my god, I have to show you this one day. And so I literally hopped out of her car in a parking lot when we were like waiting for something. I forgot what we were waiting for, but yeah, I hopped out and like I did the main like chorus part.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, like I hoped to feel more of that kind of joy when I was dancing on stage.
Yeah.
When I was in ballet, which I didn't really feel, so that's part of the reason why I left, which I already talked about. But yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it made me happy because I was like, you did find that joy. You just found it somewhere else, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk a little bit about, because you mentioned about like body image, because like it is something a lot of ballet dancers struggle with. A lot of people in general struggle with, but it's especially prevalent in the ballet world. Yes. And for you, like, what was it like? The things you were struggling with, and then yeah.
So I definitely experienced like a bit of, like anorexia and also binge eating and purging. So a bit of everything.
Mm,
But yeah, honestly, that was definitely the hardest time of my life was when I was experiencing those. And those are definitely something that's like mentally the most difficult. And of course, physically, it drains you as well to, starve yourself and stuff like that. Yeah, just that was honestly the hardest like time of my life. And, partly also why I left ballet was because I never felt like my body was good enough
mm,
and skinny enough and all of that. And that was just mentally just so difficult for me to deal with. And it's honestly not something I should have had to worry about because growing up, I was so skinny to begin
mm.
with. Like, I don't even know. Well, I do know where it kind of like how it started, but it's not, honestly not something I should have had to worry about. But, there is that pressure sometimes from
Mm,
different people to, be slim, which is not something I think should come from, a ballet teacher. Like if the ballet teacher is worried, like they should direct that student to a nutritionist,
yeah,
not like, I don't know. It's like, I think it is an issue in the dance world that's not talked about enough.
yeah,
And yeah, there should be more awareness. But I guess it is also a stigma too, because there is like that stigma that all dancers have eating disorders, which is
yeah,
absolutely not
which is not
true. Like
true. Yeah,
there's definitely a way to be, a ballerina and be mentally and physically have a good relationship with food. And there's actually more nutritionists now who work with dancers. I
yeah,
actually know one that works just primarily with ballet dancer who used to be a dancer herself. But yeah, it's definitely something that was very, very difficult for me to deal with, and not again something I did not open up about until afterwards.
mm,
Um, because yeah, it was definitely hard to talk about at that time. But um, yeah, it's definitely a struggle that I experienced, and again, more mental than physical, but of course draining physically as
yeah. And
well.
I think that's kind of like some people feel like um, there's a myth about eating disorders, which is that like, oh, you can't if you're a dancer, you can't, you have to like. I mean, I've heard people say like on the flip side that oh, there's no way you can have an eating disorder you're a professional dancer because you just won't have the energy to push like dance if you don't eat. But I think what people don't realize is that there are like people who go to the freaking Olympics who wow they have anorexia, and it's just that thing where you're so used to pushing yourself, and dancers are just really tough people, and you like just force yourself to do it and
Yeah,
like
and I
hide
think
it.
yeah, I don't think that's right where, of course a lot of professional dancers do have a healthy relationship with food, but
Yeah,
I just saw a post today where a professional dancer like who's been professional for a few years, opened up that they had an eating disorder. And so it is like literally I just saw that today. So it's I think and of course there's going to be more people that are not talking about it on social media so openly.
yeah,
So I think, and I myself experienced it as a professional dancer as well. So
yeah,
it's definitely a myth that professional dancers do not have eating disorders. But I think, of course, there are professional dancers that do have a healthy relationship with food. And I think, dancers just have to remember that, you have to nourish your body, and you have to, you know, treat your body well and love your body, because your like the way that your body works, which I'm learning more in science every day, and how our bodies work and how our bodies are able to move and do ballet is just so incredible, just so amazing. Like each of our organs are just so
yeah,
incredible, so much for us. And I think we take that for granted a lot, and we don't cherish our bodies and be grateful for that body that we have, and nourish it well and treat it well, because it's doing so much for us. So if we starve it and treat it like
mm,
someone else's body, or like just treat it not how it's meant to be treated, then it's only going to go really downhill. But if you nourish it how it needs to be, and thank your body sometimes for doing everything it does for you, and just try to have that healthy relationship with food, which is honestly easier said than done sometimes, but be able to, yeah, develop that healthy relationship with food is very important, I think, as a dancer, because your body is your tool as a dancer, and to be able to tune it well and nourish it well is just as important as being able to dance well, I think.
Yeah, because it's interesting because, you know, for a lot of people, ballet, you know, or like not ballet, but being in the ballet environment and, you know, hearing things and imbibing that idea that you have to fit as an aesthetic is what contributes to a lot of the eating disorders, because it feeds on your insecurities. But it's, for me, it's interesting because it's the other way, where like even now I'm like, I have to, like, what helps me to keep from going back to being anorexic is always thinking that like, if I don't eat enough, I'm not gonna be able to be strong enough to like do ballet, or
Yeah,
I'm just not gonna have like the mental clarity to do a good job with my work. So I have to like nourish myself, even
yeah,
though I maybe feel guilty. And I feel like that's really something that, especially if you're a professional dancer, where like your body is your instrument, to make sure to nourish it well so that you can do a good job at what you are
yes,
doing.
exactly, that's exactly right. Like if you know, if you're starving your tool and not nourishing it well, of course it's not going to work as well as you want it to work. And you know, being thinner in ballet doesn't always mean that it's like better, like that's not true at all. So um I think the best is just having a trying to be healthy and mentally and physically healthy with the relationship with food is very important.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to ballet. It's like musicality and lines and movement and jumps.
Yeah.
So after, you know, you went cold turkey and you like you stopped and you went to college and everything, how did you I guess be comfortable, or was it an issue? Like how did the fact that, you know, your body changed in that sense, because, you know, you were nourishing it more, and of course you were not doing like 6 or 7 hours of ballet a day, like what you
Yeah.
struggle with?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, you know, that is, you know, what happens is like sometimes when you do stop that physical exercise that you were doing as a professional dancer, you know, your body does change. And, you know, I, of course, gained like a little bit of weight when I did start college. But then since I really strive to have that healthy relationship with healthy foods, you know, it did take time for, it honestly took almost like a year for my body to kind of balance out all its hormones and get used to this
Yeah.
new lifestyle. And honestly, because I was like, you know, so toxic to my body earlier before that as well, while in ballet. So it took kind of a while for my body to readjust and
Yeah, like
get
your metabolism and everything has to.
yeah, yeah, everything just needed to kind of settle down and like adjust
Yeah.
and get a good rhythm going. And that's
Yeah.
what I was striving for, was that, you know, that good, um, I guess like, yeah, rhythm of hormones in my body of, and, you know, that healthy relationship with food. So I was okay with myself finally, you know, if I gained weight like at the beginning and everything, I was totally okay with that. And again, I was not on social media that much at the time and really didn't have to worry about being a certain size for ballet at all. And so you know, I let that happen. But then, you know, after a year, my body did kind of calm down and figure itself out. And I learned that I did actually really, my body did feel good after eating healthy foods. That's something that I realized throughout that year, because I did experiment eating new things, and you know, because I restricted myself a lot before then. So I experimented eating lots of things, seeing how my body reacted, seeing how my body felt afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, after that, I did feel, you know, incredibly amazing after eating like a healthy meal versus something that's like really fried or really oily. I felt like myself feel like, you know, heavy and oily like that, which was not a great feeling for me. And just figuring that out and trying to find the best foods that my body liked and that my body thrived after eating was,
Yeah.
you know, a journey, but we got there. And now I can say I have like a very healthy relationship with food, and I really let myself, you know, eat whatever I want. But you know, that is a lot of times it is something that is healthy. And And yeah, so it turned out
But
all good
with
in the end.
bubble tea as
But
well.
yeah, of course.
Like
So that's, yeah, and like it's something where I don't, if I have a craving for something like bubble tea or pizza or whatever, it's, I let myself eat that. And yeah, and then yeah, so it's not, yeah, I don't really restrict myself anymore. And let myself eat those things, but it's not often that I crave those things too much. So even nowadays, I haven't had a boba tea in like a while now. Well, also because I'm not going out at all. Like I'm basically staying at home, so that also makes sense. But um, yeah, I think Mac, like when I was at Berkeley though, boba tea was, I was surrounded by boba tea, so I had one a week, I'd say. But yeah, I didn't, stop myself, because then I knew that turned into something worse where I'd, I'd ignore my cravings, and then, but in my mind, I'd still want it. And then,
yeah.
I now don't have that toxicity, that
Yeah.
toxic relationship with food anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like, that realization that we all sort of come to is that if we, eat things in moderation and find balance with them, then like and trust our bodies, then our bodies kind of know what to do. Because I don't know about you, but I remember like at the beginning of like anniversary recovery, you're always so afraid like, oh, if I eat these things, I'm never going to be able to stop eating them.
Yeah.
But then it's because like you've restricted so long that your body kind of craves things. And
Yeah.
then when you like you said, let your body figure itself out, it kind of
Yeah.
knows what to do. And
Yeah.
it's not like, yeah.
Yeah, like I remember that. Yeah, that's like exactly the thought I had too when I was a dancer. I was like, why, like normal people that don't have to worry about their weight, like why don't they just eat like 3 packs of cookies? Like I would do that in a moment. Like why don't they do
Yeah.
that? I think
Yeah.
I'm like, why wouldn't they just like eat 5 packs? Like what's stopping them from eating 5 packs of cookies? And then of course now I don't do that. That's not something I do, but it's like your body just learns how to, you know, want food, but also reject, or not reject, but also stop yourself from eating more, and just listening to your body. And yeah, definitely a journey to come to that point, but it's very
Mm,
important, I think.
yeah. Um, and I just want to talk to you now about like moving on a little bit. I want to talk to you about how you use your social media platform because I remember like when you were dancing in ballet and you were posting all these ballet things, you were more, I would say, like careful in that. Yeah, I think you were quite careful with what you posted because you were like, I'm just gonna talk about ballet and you know about how I dance, and I don't want to um, invite like I don't want to use the word controversial, but generally like a
Yeah,
safe
yeah, yeah,
safe post
yeah.
because which is understandable because you were young and still trying to figure out your voice. And now I feel like you have sort of found your voice and put a bit more of showing people a little bit more of who you are besides like the ballet dancer. Like you post
Yeah.
about the inauguration and you post about wearing masks and wearing vaccine and like getting a vaccine, which I think is like awesome. And but it's definitely a shift from what you used to post when you were younger and
Yeah.
growing up on the platform. So like when did you sort of get more comfortable with sharing these things, like the things you believe in and things like that on your platform?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like when I was younger, I only posted really about ballet and dance. And yeah, that's really was my only focus. But these days, I think it's just, the change that I've had personally too, because back then, really the only things I did think about was like ballet and dance, and I didn't really expose myself to other things as much. But these days, I am having lots of discussions about vaccinations and about COVID-19 and about politics, and all of that is a big part of my life now. So I think that just naturally comes out on social media as well, as these things that I am passionate about and things that I want to promote are things
Yeah.
that I do want to use that platform that I have to spread, especially if I think it's something that's very important, such as vaccinations. Like if it could possibly, prevent someone from actually getting COVID is, very important to me. So yeah, and like human rights as well, stuff like that. I think I've been more open about it, partly also because I went to, UC Berkeley, and UC
Yeah.
Berkeley is very, the types of people that go there are very open about their beliefs, and
Yeah.
it's helped me also build my own voice going to university and having more courage to use my own voice, because I think it is also sometimes you're afraid to talk about these things that might be um, you know that might be hard to talk about, because you think that people will not like you, or people that are going to unfollow you, and that happens. That's just like what comes with it. But
Yeah.
I'm honestly over that now. Like I've gotten over that point where I'm not so afraid of disappointment anymore. Like that was a huge step in my life, and my like huge part of my growth is not being too worried about that, and really using that voice and that platform that I have to spread things that I want to spread. And yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. But I'm still, again, like still finding how to work with my social media and especially my Instagram, just because it was such a ballet focused Instagram before, that I think many people followed because it was like just ballet and that's what they
Yeah.
followed for. And so I'm still figuring out how to balance kind of my life now and my life as a ballet dancer. So I'm still like figuring that out, but I as you said, like I am kind of developing more of a voice about things that I'm passionate about, and spreading that on my social media.
Well, I mean, personally, I enjoy seeing all the different things you're posting about now. I mean, you still post about dance and ballet because that's part of your life. But like for me,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see the other things that you're up to and the other things you're interested in, like what you're doing at work and stuff. And like it's also a nice way for me to keep up with you.
Yeah.
But I find that interesting. So keep doing kind of what you're doing and posting all that stuff if you feel comfortable with
Thank you.
it.
Yeah, I'll try to like keep posting stuff, but it's honestly harder, honestly, because as a dancer, I did so many photo shoots. Even with CMV, I got so many photos to post.
Right, right.
And then these days, I'm like, just either studying or just in the lab. Like, I don't really take many photos of myself. And I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
before either. I didn't really take too many photos of myself. I would like do, photo shoots would come out of certain opportunities. And I
yeah,
just have like 300 photos at my disposal to use at any point.
yeah.
And so now it's like harder to choose or to find photos or to take photos to post myself. So that's kind of something I'm still like figuring out. But yeah, I like to post on my stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, keep doing it. It's interesting, It doesn't have to be like super like pose or anything, but I think
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
like the fun part of it is that we get to see, what goes on behind the scenes and what you're up to and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Um, so yeah, let's talk a little bit because you are the fancy medical student graduate and I am not. Let's talk a bit about your experience with like, and spread some like wisdom about like the like masks and vaccines and things because I know like coronavirus is something that we're still dealing with, and I know when you teach you wear a mask and you post pictures of yourself wearing masks. So like um I guess like for you and from based on what like why is it something that's important for us to keep doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crucial at this moment right now, at least in the US where I live, and especially in California where I live, but still all over the world. I think it's very important to wear masks and socially distance and to be very safe and cautious. There is this like terrible virus being spread, and it can only be spread when people are to like in close contact. And so, you know, I think it's if people are able to socially distance and wear masks, like please do it because you can potentially save someone's life, or um and potentially save someone from getting COVID. And a lot of people say that there's a 99% or there's only like a 1% like death rate of or mortality from getting COVID. But there are also really, really bad long-term effects that can
Yeah.
occur from getting the virus. Like everyone kind of responds a little bit differently. Like some people don't really get many effects, but a lot of people, and they're figuring this out more and more, that people that have had the virus are having these really bad long-term side effects that, you know, can last for the rest of their lives. And so, you know, I'm really passionate about trying to spread the message of staying socially distanced. And I know it's so hard and it's so difficult because there is that what's that there was a phrase that I saw the other day where it was like quarantine, like when you're tired of being quarantined. and and it's true, like if you've been socially distanced for almost a whole year at this point, it gets so, you know, you miss seeing your friends, you miss seeing like having the social life that you had before. And people I see are kind of starting to, you know, see more family, see more friends, not being as cautious as they were towards the beginning. And then we see all these COVID cases rising all over the place. And, you know, like, yeah, Min and I were talking earlier where there's some, like in LA, there's just no hospital space anymore. Like the ICU capacity is like 0%, which means that people cannot cannot get like healthcare at all. And even if it's not COVID related, where they, you know, get a heart attack or other, you know, other bad things happen, they cannot get the care that they need because everything is just completely full, completely packed. All the staff are just completely busy. And so they can just like pronounce you dead if you code blue, and, you know, you don't survive from that. And
Just because like the hospitals are so overwhelmed by the COVID cases that you
so
don't have time to
overwhelmed.
treat other cases as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so people are dying when they don't need to, because we know how to treat these things. Like if they had an ICU bed open, this person would still be alive. But
Yeah.
you know, so I'm, you know, really passionate about trying to spread the message of like staying masked. Even now, even if you think you're safe and everything, you never know who you might meet that is unknowingly carrying the virus. And staying masked, trying to maybe even order food, trying not to go out because it's just horrible right now.
Right.
And
I mean, in California, right? Yeah.
yeah, especially in California. I can talk about this for like so long and rant about this
No,
for so
yeah, yeah.
long.
Please do, because like I'm interested in hearing all this.
But yeah, no, but I think it's just so important to stay home. I know it's hard. Just try to occupy yourself with something at home and FaceTime or call people if you miss people, and be strict with yourself too. Like, you know, of course there'll be friends that are like, let's hang out, like let's go do these things. But, you know, sometimes you have to just be like, sorry, like I have to be very careful because all of X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure they'll be understanding. So please be careful. Please socially distance. Please wear your mask still. And also, even if you do get your vaccine, you still have to stay socially distanced and masked, because you can still carry the virus and give it to other people. Or there hasn't been enough research to say that you won't. So even though the virus can't like breed inside of you if you get the vaccine, and you've built the antibodies, it can't breed inside of you, but you can still meet someone that has the virus and then still kind of still have it with you and then infect someone else. So still want to wear masks, still want to socially distance, even if you're vaccinated, until there's herd immunity. And that's when, like, I don't know, maybe like at least 70% of the population is vaccinated. That's kind of when herd immunity starts to work, but, or maybe even more. But until then, you know, stay safe, even if you do have the vaccine.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the vaccine because people, I know you've been vaccinated. You put it on your Instagram as well, right? So first, like,
dose, yeah.
Yeah. Which one did you get? The Pfizer one or the? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think two things I want to ask is first, like, what has your experience like been with the vaccine? And because, which is the second thing I want to ask, because there's still a lot of fear that people don't think the vaccine is safe and you know, things like that. So like, what was your experience like, and why should people get it, and why is it okay to get like this? Yeah.
Yeah, there is still like a lot of fear around the vaccine, which I can understand that because, people think it's been such a fast process of the research. But I'll first say my experience of getting the vaccine and then say why I believe in this vaccine and that it's healthy. Um, how I was like so lucky to be able to get it through my work at
Yeah.
UCSF. And so I've received the first dose of the
Yeah.
Moderna version of it. And I did experience a sore arm about
Mm.
like 8-ish hours after.
Mm.
And also, like for the next day-ish, I had a pretty sore arm. And so it's kind of like hurts to move it very much. So that is something I experienced. However, other than that, I did not experience anything. But I have heard that the second dose can have worse side effects, like which is the word like which is how do I say like which is the worst the day after the second dose,
Right.
where a lot of people do feel like feverish and chills and stuff like that. But it is something I'm expecting, so I feel like I'll since I'm expecting that, I won't be too freaked out. But it is normal because your body is building the antibodies. And to do that, you might feel a bit sick. And, your body's just learning to fight this type of virus and building the antibodies to do so. Um, but, the vaccine really does not have bad long-term side effects, because usually long-term side effects occur like in all the past vaccination studies that they have done. Bad side effects usually pop up about day 40,
Right.
and then that vaccine has like bad long-term side effects. However, for the COVID vaccine, they really measured it for 60 days past the second dose, and people really were not having any bad long-term side effects. And I guess this goes into my next point of why this vaccine is something I believed in and something that I think is healthy, is that there has been a lot of research that has gone into it. And what most people don't know about research is that literally like 80% of the time that you're a researcher, you're applying for grants and trying to raise money to do your
Yeah.
research. That's something I didn't even know until like I became a researcher, is that it takes a lot of time to raise money and to get like all the resources that you need to do your research. Like that takes so much time. But for this vaccine, like there was unlimited money that could have been, that people could use to do research. There's unlimited money, unlimited like resources that they could use. So, they could use as much money as they needed. So they don't even have to have that 80% of time that they needed to raise money. So they could just go straight into developing the vaccine and testing the vaccine, doing many trials. And yeah, so I think that's something that non-researchers don't know, is that, and they think it was so quick, which it kind of was, but that's because all that time trying to raise money is, that's not something that they needed to worry about, all the researchers.
So
And
yeah, when we're talking about like a vaccine, like this vaccine is fast tracked. It's not fast tracked in the sense that it was rushed out. It's fast tracked in the sense that all the administrative barriers that come from developing a vaccine were basically removed.
mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, all of those administrative barriers were removed, and that's why, you know, researchers were able to go straight into developing and testing the vaccine. Um, and I think just seeing how rich people and rich politicians are already getting it kind of is a
Yeah.
signal that they believe in it too, because if they were scared of it, they'd like let other people take it first without taking it. But and a lot of medical professionals are taking it too. So I think it's and if it can save this society from this horrible virus that are
So that we
taking.
don't have to socially distance anymore
Yeah,
or lose our sense of taste for like a year or whatever.
yeah. Like if this virus is like a solution to this, sorry, this vaccine is the solution to the virus. And we have to do our best to believe the experts and believe that they've done the best job to bring health to us, and not believe that they're trying to kill us, or they're trying to, I don't know, like all the rumors and misconceptions there are, like they're trying to insert a chip, like none of that is true.
What, really? That's that rumor?
Yeah, there's so many misunderstandings out there about the vaccine. Like people think that they're like going to insert a microchip, or I don't even want to say them really, because I don't want like anyone to believe in these conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Once again, it's just, you can look at the ingredients online, and you know, it's really okay, and it's just going to do more like better than it is going to do worse for society. And it's not going to do any of those conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying,
like believe the experts. Like the experts know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. Like they've been studying this for decades. Hello, can you still hear me?
so yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So when you're saying, you might have a sore arm and it's feverish and stuff, and some people are, I mean, like side effects, people might think, oh, that's a sign of like the vaccine is harming you, but isn't it really just you're experiencing like a small amount of discomfort because you have like the it's a protein, right, that goes inside your so there's a protein that goes in, like the vaccine like puts in a protein to like teach your body how to fight against coronavirus if you get it. So it's just, isn't it really just like a small amount of discomfort that comes when your body's learning to fight it to prevent like a longer term problem of you potentially getting coronavirus, and then it will be so much worse than just feeling feverish for a day, and then you can pass it on to lots of other people. And
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like it's to prevent actually the actual virus entering your system and breeding in your system and having these really, really bad long-term side effects, or even causing death, and also spreading that to people around you that could also cause bad side-term effects and possibly death. So it's so worth getting the vaccine, and something I think like I believe the experts in, and I think I of course, as a scientist, I believe in science, and as soon as we can get these rolled out and get herd immunity is like the better the outcomes will be. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if this is a problem that affects everybody, but if we're just looking at it just from the standpoint of being a ballet dancer, which is like an athlete, like COVID affects your respiratory system and stuff, right? And like you said, there can be long-term effects on that, and nobody was.
Not only that, like it's shown to, like, there's been a lot of bad long-term effects that are respiratory related to the heart and the blood, and also now they're saying like neurological bad long-term side effects as well is something that they're finding. And there's some really bad stuff that can happen if you happen to get the virus. So
I mean, it would affect so many things, but including like wanting you to perform your best as a dancer, so I think that's also why we should be responsible.
For sure. And you can't dance on stage until everyone is starting to get vaccinated and there is herd immunity. People can go into theaters again and watch theater. So as like the sooner more people are vaccinated and the sooner herd immunity occurs, the sooner you'll be able to dance on stage with an audience in front of you. So
and go back into studios and travel to watch ballet or to participate in competitions and workshops and all kinds of things, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So just really, really quickly break down, like, how do masks work? And I mean, I think we both know the importance of masks, like the reason why in Singapore, like the cases are quite low now. We've had spikes, we had to go into lockdown and all kinds of things. But I think part of the reason why cases are so low now is because in Singapore, like, we get fined if we don't wear a mask, and we have social distancing restrictions. So that I think that helps, and contact tracing and all this kind of thing. So like, how do masks work and how do they help prevent like coronavirus from spreading?
Yeah, so the virus is spread through fluid that is like passed, in the air or in liquid form from different people. And so, and that comes from your nose and your mouth. So, covering both of those, both, not just the mouth, but both the nose and the
And the
mouth.
mouth.
There's a reason they test COVID tests inside your nose, by the way. So please cover your nose.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like there's a reason why you should cover your nose, because like, that's literally where they test to see if you have COVID. Anyway, yeah, so that's very important to cover your nose and your mouth to prevent you from getting the COVID virus from someone else that may be close in that situation, and also to spread it if you have it yourself. So again, like the virus is spread through these through fluid that is expressed from the body, and that that come from your nose and mouth. So very important to wear a mask, and also important to stay at least 6 feet apart, because also
so the mask will prevent like the droplets from going into the air.
Yeah. And some people have said that the masks aren't like even tight enough to to conserve the virus, because the virus is very small. But as you said, the virus is in these droplets that are that can be caught by the mask. So very important to wear a mask. Please wear a mask, everybody, over your nose and your mouth.
I saw like a thing on, I haven't tried it, but I saw a thing where people put a mask over a shower nozzle and then they turn on the shower and the water doesn't flow through the mask. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, okay, that is kind of a meme, because there was this like one non-mask wearer that was like, I forget her original meme, but she was like, right, this is why masks don't work. And like she was spraying like a water bottle or something through it, and it was not even a real mask, it was like a scarf. But right. But then and then people of course started making memes like doing like putting it through the shower, and they were like, this is a sneeze. But then they were actually like, the shower couldn't even get through the mask, so it was actually proving that
the water doesn't come through the mask at all.
Yeah. It's like so amazing.
So that's just how like good a mask is at preventing droplets.
Yeah, super amazing, especially if you are able to get like an N95, or right. There's a Korean version that I like even more, called the KF94 that I use. I really like. So they're slightly on the more expensive side, but still definitely worth it, I think. So yeah, definitely wear a good mask.
But like surgical masks are still helpful, right?
Yeah, basically the more masks, and I sometimes wear 2 masks at the same time too, like this and like one more mask just to be extra safe. But yeah, getting like a good mask to use is very important. So
we not only got a crash course on why masks are good, we got a pro tips on what kind of masks to use.
Yeah.
So then like say, you go out and then you forget your mask, like how effective is just like putting on like a face covering, like a scarf or something, in the absence of not having anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. If you know, I would always have it in a handbag, or in your car. I always have extra masks in my car always, because I go in my car anywhere. But I'd first of all recommend that not happen, where you should always have a mask with you at this time. But in the rare case that you somehow don't have a mask with you, anything's better than nothing. So, either going back home to grab a mask, or finding a piece of clothing and folding it maybe a couple times to make it even more covered to prevent that spread. But again, something's better than nothing. It's better to wear like a scarf instead of nothing if you don't have anything. But the best is, definitely having a mask or two, and always having an extra mask on you at all times.
Yeah, there is some discomfort, of course, in wearing a mask, but it's better than the discomfort of getting COVID again, like based on everything, we've
Oh my gosh.
discussed.
Yeah. There's more discomfort being on like like a respirator and, being in the hospital and not being able to breathe. There's
And
more
not being able
discomfort
to
there.
taste things. Like, can you imagine not being able to taste pizza or boba anymore?
Yeah, or smell or taste anything you can't. So, there's a lot to lose by getting the virus. And, of course, you might feel a little discomfort wearing a mask, but it's not even that long during the day, as you shouldn't even be out most of the day. But if you are an essential worker and stuff like that, you are wearing a mask for long amounts of the day. But again, it is worth it, that discomfort. And maybe, trying a different mask or trying something else, trying to come up with ways to make it more comfortable. And actually this KF94 that I use is actually very breathable, where I've tried different masks, especially when teaching ballet. If I happen to in person, which I haven't really, but I've been testing them out, and this KF94 works well for ballet as well. If you're a dancer and you feel like like if it's getting so I don't know, like so stuffy
Hard
in
to,
there,
yeah.
like it's like good as an N95, but it's also like quite breathable for some reason, so I like this one.
Ah, cool. That's
Yeah.
something I'm going to check out as well. I've never heard about that one. I'm going to like
Yeah.
Google this after.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you so much for dropping all that wisdom on us.
Of course.
It's very good to hear about it from like a science perspective. Like I've been reading and stuff, and I think it's just kind of important to, like you said, believe in the science
Yeah.
and believe that we're not these, like, how do I put this? It's the people who are doing the research and the doctors, we're all we're trying to do is to get us back to like a normal life, because that's what everybody
Yeah,
wants,
yeah.
isn't
They're
it?
not like against you. They're not trying to hurt you or, make it worse for you. Like their whole life goal and their whole career is to, help you and to, provide better outcomes for people.
Because they're also kind of going through this exact same things as we are, and they're also social
Exactly.
distance, and they worry about getting COVID too, so all
Yeah,
of us are in the same boat, and it's just that those people are the ones who have the knowledge to try and help us get go back, get rid of it and go back to a normal life.
exactly, exactly.
um so before, I think we're I've kind of talked about everything I need. Well, actually, there's so much more I can talk to you about, but before this gets too long, I think we should wrap up.
Yeah.
Um, but I just wanted to ask you one last question, because this is the Good Ballet Juju podcast, and I think now, like, all the time we need Good Ballet Juju, but maybe now more than ever with all the different things we're struggling with. So, like, I want to know, like, what's one thing that you do to experience good juju in your life, like something you do that brings you joy, whether it's ballet related or not.
Oh, definitely talking to good people that spread positivity is something, again, on the phone right now, but, it brings such a smile to my face when those people like you as well have bring so much positivity and definitely bring a smile to my face. So good people. Recently, this is kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel embarrassed saying this, but TikTok actually brings a lot of good juju in my life because
TikTok is fun and informative.
yeah, I do. I follow a lot of like comedy, and I actually do see a lot of ballet on there too. So that
Mm-mm.
actually makes my day as well. So good people, good TikToks, and what's a good third one that brings good juju? And also just your own mindset. If you feel like you're starting to become negative and pessimistic, trying your best to challenge yourself to think about how you could be grateful or positive about that situation. Again, it's hard a lot of the times, and it's hard to always be positive, and you don't have to always be positive, but in certain situations where you find yourself being a little too negative, trying to see the positive outcome, or trying to think, instead of thinking pessimistically, like thinking realistically and maybe even optimistically, and yeah, speak to those who bring joy, and and that bring happiness in your life and keep those people very close. And yeah, I'd say that those are the things that bring good juju in my life for sure.
And twice.
And twice. Oh yes, lots of twice brings me lots of good juju. Very twice.
Wait, so just one thing, are you like a BTS? The only one I really know is like BTS. Are you like a BTS fan or like not so much?
I'm not like not a BTS fan, but I actually did try to get into BTS as well, but for some reason I didn't like vibe with them as much as like some of the girl groups. For some reason I'm not. Again, they're like the most talented ever, and they're beautiful and they're so amazing. But
yeah,
I for some reason I prefer like girl groups. Maybe that's just a phase. I don't know, but
yeah.
I definitely love like Twice and Blackpink and ITZY and all the good ones. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean like every single like Korean band, whether they're girl bands or boy bands, are just like ridiculously talented.
Like I have so much respect for them. So it's hard for me to say I'm not a fan. Like I have so much respect and they're freaking talented and they work their butts off to be at their position, and they deserve all the fame and all the fans that they do have. So yeah, I'm a supportive of all of it. But I definitely have my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I'm just dipping my toe into the Korean band thing, so I'm gonna check out Twice after this.
Yeah, they're great.
I think it's because I saw like some of the videos of them dancing, like I think BTS like dancing. I was like, that's so good.
Yeah, they're like they look like a professional like hip hop group, like a true professional dance group, and of course they're like also able to sing and rap and look amazing while doing it all at the same time and take amazing. They're like models also. It's like all in one. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then the girls have to do it in heels.
Yeah, and the girls do it in heels too. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's kind of a whole like different thing that I really only got into K-pop like maybe like 2 years ago.
Right.
And, but it's kind of a whole new kind of area of music and entertainment that I love. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that, thanks for sharing, talk to me. It's so great to be able to like reconnect and chat again after not having seen each other for a couple of years. Yeah. And I'm gonna have to dig up like all those like pictures that we did and all the shoots to post after this interview goes up. Like yeah. Yeah, and thank you so much for being such a supporter of CMV over like all these years. I mean, it's something I am genuinely like grateful for, and I cherish not just your support but your friendship as well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for like checking in on me and always supporting me through whatever I go through. I really appreciate that too. And thank you for having me on this is a podcast, right? Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so honored.
I mean, of course. I was like, yeah, we gotta do this. You're like, I made a list of people I want. I was like, yeah, Miko's gotta be on because she's fancy doctor now, and I need to know all these things about masks and vaccines and like how she's doing. And sometimes I feel like this podcast is an excuse for me to just catch up with my friends.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, it's been great to catch up with you too.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too.